Hello, Mary Beth.
Hello. Am I the only one here?
So far, there's wait, no, there's other people waiting. I'm getting them all in.
Okay.
It looks like I have to admit people manually. I didn't realize that.
Oh, how interesting.
Oh. They're all coming on right now, so bear with me.
I'm going to mute and stop video because I'm about to eat.
Okay. Well, it's not going to record you eating.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. As you're joining us, welcome. Just be a little bit patient because I apparently...
You muted yourself.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Hi.
Cindy?
There we go. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have this little thing on my headphone that I periodically hit, and it mutes me. So
Okay.
give me a second here. Bear with me as I admit people from the... I think we're just going to keep getting that little doorbell sound as people come in.
Qualifying businesses, so we're trying to look at that. So anyway, we'll answer questions one-on-one. Thank you guys so much.
So, how's everybody doing so far?
Surviving.
Richard, you're shaking your head.
Do you all know where I live?
Where do you live, Richard?
New Rochelle, New York,
Oh, boy.
the epicenter. And the 20 people who were first sick are all from the Orthodox synagogue a half-mile from my house.
Oh, goodness.
So I'm in what's called the containment zone, and everybody's crazy. And, knock on wood, I seem to be okay, and everyone's
Good.
okay, but everybody's behaving really crazy here.
What are they doing, Richard?
Yelling at each other in the soup. Oh my God, I was at Fairway the other night and I had a slight cough and the cashier ran away from the cash register and hid down the aisle. And then she came back and started screaming at me that if she got sick, it was my fault.
Oh.
And I looked at her and I thought, you're 25. This isn't serious to you. I'm 61,
Right.
and I did not say.
That's Cindy.
But there's a lot of that.
You're a good man, Richard.
I don't have
thing on it.
I left it over on this. Okay.
So look at that beautiful cat.
Oh, who's Kitty? Oh, Robin. Tell us about your kitty. While we're waiting a few minutes for other people to join.
Her name is Miss Sadie, and she likes the computer. So whenever I have the laptop out, she has to come investigate.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right, we've got 13 people here and we're gonna get started. I see somebody has hi Susan. Okay, so I just want to give a little introduction to Zoom for people who may not be all that familiar with it, and also because this is being recorded and I plan to post it later on. So I don't believe that your screens will show. I can see you, and you can, because we only have 13 people in here right now, you can probably see some of the other people, but you may have a little bar across the top that has a caret on it, and if you want to see somebody who's speaking who's not on screen, you can click on that and it'll change who you're seeing. As we get more people in here, I'm going to ask everyone to just keep your mics muted until you want to speak. Just because there can be background noise going on that you're not aware of, or you may, it's very hard. One of the downsides of Zoom and any of these technologies is that there's a lag. So when people talk over each other, you can't really understand very well. So, we have another kitty joining us. Yay. So, also, let's see, what else did I want to tell you? Yeah, you can also enlarge the screen. I suggest putting it on full screen and I'm going to be sharing my screen in just a minute here, but also you can move around that block that shows the pictures of people who are speaking. You can move it over to one side, you can move it down to the bottom. So if it's blocking something you're trying to see, you can also just put it down so you just see my face. I put on makeup for you and everything. So, and then the other thing is, I guess that's really all I had to say. So, chat. So there's a chat box on here. And we don't have so many people yet that it's going to be unwieldy for people to ask questions directly. But if we do end up getting all of the people, all the 41 people that's registered for this, I'm sure they're going to kind of come and go. I might mute you all and just have you ask questions through the chat or wave your hand and unmute yourself or something like that as you go on. So here's what I wanted to do tonight. First of all, thank you all for being here. What I'll ask is that I'm going to start off by giving a little PowerPoint presentation. Just some thoughts that I have about how we as artists can get through this time. I'm calling it the big Q. And the big quarantine. And then after that, I'm going to take it back to you guys, and we can just discuss anything in there that you want to discuss, or something that doesn't have anything at all to do with anything that's been said. This is your time. This is time for us to just come together as a community and vent and cry and tell dirty jokes and show off our kitties. And by the way, I have my quarantini here. It's the last bit of my Four Roses single barrel, so to your health.
Hello.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead. Some of you folks that have joined us, we can't see you. I don't know if that's on purpose. I don't know if you can see us. The problem is if you're on a phone, you may not be able to see it. I'm about to show a PowerPoint, but I am recording this, and you will be able to look at it later when I upload it, hopefully to YouTube or something like that. I'm not sure where exactly I'm going to do. So, let me see if I can close that screen down. I better close the chat screen. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me for a minute here while I get that up. Usually takes just a second. So let me know if can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So why is the slide? Oh, it doesn't want to do the slide. Why is that? There we go. Okay. All right. So welcome to the Coffee Clatch. This is a little workshop that I've done from time to time. It's always different. I use it for small groups usually, and people who just want to get together and talk and chat. But I thought that usually about things that have to do with our business. But I thought that the time was ripe for us to come together, and if we like doing it, then we'll keep it up. So here's the first thing that I want to talk about: how we can stay sane and productive while working from home. For me, I'm lucky. I mostly work from home. My husband works from home, so it's not a big change for us, but for some people it is, if you're not used to just kind of sheltering in one place. So I want to just offer some ideas for how you can be productive during this time, and also just keep emotionally on an even keel. So the first thing that I suggest is that you spend a little time thinking about what in your life needs attention right now. I mean, obviously we're all thinking about how we are going to put soup in the pot. But there's other things too. A lot of us are also thinking about our art. We have students who are not able to do their senior recitals. We have teachers who are not being able to teach. We have singers who have had their shows canceled. I just got the formal notice of a cancellation of my show today, and then I had one of my students who's not tech savvy cancel. So it's happening to everybody. So think about what you want to do with this. So somebody's not unmuted, and I'm getting the sounds of your your drink. So make sure you're muted, please. I know we all have those projects that we have wanted to do for a long time. Like, I have many areas of clutter in my house that need to be organized. That's one of the things that I'm thinking about. I have some pet projects I've wanted to do for a while. I'm thinking about those too. Things that I could do here in the house. Exercise, that's something we all can do. But think about what you really want to do. And then the next thing is to think about what you have to do, as opposed to what you want to do, because we have to kind of start off there. We have to start with, well, what are those things that we absolutely have to get done every day? If you have children, if you have pets, that's different than if you're an adult living by yourself or with a partner or with roommates. You have different obligations. So what are those things that must get done? Maybe you're lucky enough to be teaching from home, or you are able to do some of your job from home. What are those? Oops, what happened there? So make a list. I'm a big list maker. Make that list of the things that have to get done versus what you want to get done. And then decide on what a few reasonable goals or projects are. And I say this because a lot of us sit here and go, woohoo, we're going to be here for at least 8 weeks. I can do everything. And it's really easy to get overwhelmed. So aside from the stuff that you have to get done, pick 2-3 projects that you want to work on regularly with focus and commitment, because that's going to help you not get overwhelmed. It's going to help you stay productive, and it's going to help you, once you get those done, you can do all the other things. You can go on to the next thing after that. But this is not just for when we're under quarantine. This is just the freelance artist's life. This is for anybody who works on their own and is in charge of their own time. It's really easy to let 3 weeks go by and you have not cracked a score. You have not studied anything. These are techniques to help you keep from being that person. Because God willing, we're all going to need to crack those scores again in the near future. So you decide on a couple of reasonable goals or projects, and then sit down with your calendar and decide which days you're going to devote to each one of those. Now, I strongly advise that you don't do what I do. I just cannot cure myself of being a Gemini, and my attention is like this. And that's actually how I work best. I work best in short spurts on a bunch of different things. So, if you're that kind of person, fine. I've given up fighting it. But it's really a good organizational tool if you put down what chunk of time each day, schedule it, and honor that schedule. Because if you don't honor it, if you don't value that schedule, it's easy to just let it all go. So even if I'm going to work on, what I do is I have a whiteboard up against my wall here, and I write down on it what I have to do, and then which of my projects I'm going to be concentrating on that day. So it gets written in big letters, and then the rest are if I have time, I'll do these things. And then they shift from day to day. So I know that Monday is the day that I work on Spotlight, and Tuesday is the day that I'm doing my homework from the night before, and so forth and so on. So that is what I suggest that you do as far as getting organized with your scheduling. Be sure that as you sit down with your calendar, that you calendar those things that you have to do at certain times first, because that's going to show you then what the rest of the time you have is. I like Google Calendars. It's great. You can color code everything, and it sends you reminders. And you can, if you have Alexa or something like that, you can tell Alexa to give you reminders. Those are also things that just help you stay on track, help you take it seriously. Then after you do that, I would go and calendar the time that you're going to spend for your goals and projects. Certain times at certain days or certain times of day to those work. And you may, look, it's not set in stone. You may write something down and figure out that doesn't really work. I should be doing this on Wednesday instead of Thursday because I always have to do XYZ on Wednesday and it just fits better. That's fine. It's not a big deal. You make it work for you. Don't forget to include some time to relax and rejuvenate. And that's not screen time. We're all stuck to our screens right now because that's our window to the world. And it's fine. We need to spend that time. But you need time away from the screen. So it's fine to go outside in your yard. It's fine to take a walk. Don't go up to other people, but we can go outside. We're not stuck in the house. So, take a little walk, or just go sit out in your yard or something. Take a book. Do something that you've always wanted to do, but you haven't ever given yourself permission to do. But give yourself some of that downtime. And then another really important thing, and this really is kind of key, is to put your schedule and your daily to-do list where you can see them every day. So not just on your Google Calendar, but you need to have it somewhere at your desk or wherever you spend a lot of time. You can look at that first thing in the morning. Maybe you have to pin it to your coffee machine. But make sure that you see that every single day so that you keep yourself accountable. So a few tips for making this successful. Realize it can take a while to establish a routine, and give yourself a lot of grace. Take some time to figure out what you like, what you don't like. Don't waste your time fighting against something that you don't like, right? There's a reason why you don't like it. As long as you're staying accountable, as long as you're moving forward, do what works for you. Make sure you share your progress with your friends and family. Let them know that you're doing something. Let them know what projects you're working on, and let them help you by, just being there for you and acknowledging what you're doing. And keeping active is going to be the best way that we can combat the fear and frustration that we're all feeling. Being active, being proactive. And it stimulates creativity. Downtime also stimulates creativity. That's why they're both important. But if you start doing some stuff, it's going to give you ideas. Maybe not even ideas that you're going to use right now, but maybe you'll use them down the line. So write everything down. Keep a notebook and write everything down. Don't say, oh, I can't do that right now. You never know when that's going to come in handy. So write it down. Check in with somebody, especially those of you who are living by yourselves. Please, or you're isolated from your family, please make sure you're checking in with somebody on a weekly, if not a daily basis. Get yourself a quarantine buddy. And, bonus points if that is somebody who is willing to be, check for accountability with you. The kitties don't count. And last but not least, I'm a very big believer in giving your goals a deadline. That makes them more real. Put it big letters up there on the calendar so that you can see it. This project is due at this date. If you need to give yourself an extension, fine, but make sure you're doing it not because you've lazed around too much on it. You want to make sure that you're making that progress. Also, this is just another thing that maybe you get halfway into the project and you realize it's not really for you. So that's okay too. Log that somewhere. Oh, it reminds me, I want to tell you about this really cool thing I've been doing. I found this time tracking software that it's free. And I'll put it in the chat in a minute because I can't think of what the name is. I think it's just Time Tracker. But you can put in the name of the project, and you can put in what specifically you're doing on it. And I got it because I needed to log my time for my nonprofit better than I was doing. And it's super easy. It just pops up on the screen and it's triggered by keystrokes. So if you walk away for a while, it'll stop. And then when you come back, it'll pick up on the same project you were off of, but you have a chance, you can edit it if you want to. So I started using it for everything I do, just because I thought, I want to see where I'm spending my time. You know, how much time am I actually spending on these various projects? You know, I was surprised to see how much time I actually spent setting this thing up today. So especially when you're working by yourself, that can really help you track, and you don't have to do it forever. Track it for a couple of weeks and then go back and look at it and say, wow, I'm spending a lot more time on social media than I thought I was. So I'll somebody remind me if I forget, and I will be sure and share that in the chat window before we leave. Okay, so this is something that one of my grad school professors said to me. Don't say anything in your own head that you don't want to have come true. It might seem a little pie in the sky, but right now I think it's more important than ever. There's so much stuff going on. And we're all going to have those times where we do succumb to the doom and gloom. But we're in this for the long haul. So you have to pace yourself. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to cry. But you also need to find times when you are pulling yourself out of that cycle so that it's not the only thing you're thinking about. I keep advancing this thing. I love this. I have it written where I can see it just to remind me. It doesn't necessarily, it doesn't mean to be a Pollyanna. It just means don't keep telling yourself things that aren't going to help you. Don't reinforce the wrong things. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about setting goals during quarantine. If you know me very well, you know that I love mission statements. I think mission statements are really important. They're important for nonprofits, they're important for businesses, but they're also important for individuals. And all that a mission statement is a few words that tell you and help you tell other people what you're in it for. Why are you doing what you're doing? So I would like to challenge you to think right now, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes when we get to the discussion part, but what is your mission? What do you want your mission to be during these next few weeks while we're stuck at home? What was it before the quarantine came along? How has it changed? I know a lot of people may be grieving. Not maybe, a lot of people are grieving. We're grieving for lost contracts. We're grieving for a way of life that has just been snatched away for us. We're grieving for an uncertain future. We're scared. And one of the things that can help us is to acknowledge that and to look at what is before us now. What can we do with what we've got? Pretend you're one of the Apollo 13 astronauts. You have a roll of duct tape and an empty can of beans. What can you do with that? And so take that mission, acknowledge what your mission was. You may go back to it eventually, but what's it going to be right now? And can you adjust your original mission? Can you make it fit into today's parameters? Or do you need to come up with a new one? There's not a right or wrong answer there. It's what works for you. What are your obstacles? What is getting in your way right now of you moving forward? This is a big question for us all, I think. Obviously, a lot of us have some emotional obstacles. A lot of us have some mental obstacles. We're in shock. It's the reality of this has not hit yet. We're only a few days into it. You may have physical obstacles. I mean, obviously we all have physical obstacles right now. So think about what those are. Write down a plan. What are you going to do to overcome those obstacles? And write down your mission statement and slap that up there with everything else that you are putting up there that you need to see every day to help you keep on track, to help you know what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. And this also helps you make a decision about whether something you want to do is going to help you move that mission forward, or if it's going to take you off another path. Now, it's not necessarily a terrible thing to go down that other path. We need to be able to explore, but you have to make a conscious choice about it and know what you're doing, and be able to make the choice of, this is not something I want to pursue at this time. I need to get back to what I said I'd do, or this mission isn't feeling right to me. I need to adjust it. That's okay, but start with something firm and write it down. Don't just say, oh, I'll remember it. You need to have it in words. I suggest you keep it short, just a few sentences. You should be able to rattle it off if somebody asks you. Okay, so let's just talk about being there for each other, for ourselves. It's okay to have a bad day. We're all going to have them. If you have a bad day, it's okay for you to reach out for help. We are all going to have bad days. We're all going to need help. At other days, you're going to be the strong one. And on the days when you're the strong one, then you help other people. You be somebody's angel. That will make you feel better too in the long run, and it will strengthen you. But just know it's okay to feel what you need to feel and to have that bad day. Just don't cocoon. Don't do it by yourself. Reach out. This is one of those easier said than done things, but do your best to stay off that emotional roller coaster. It's really exhausting. It's really damaging. So the highs and lows, getting really excited and then getting really, really, down. So if you find yourself going into the extremes, then take a breath. We all are going to need to take a day or so off of social media from time to time. We're all going to need to turn off the news from time to time. And, just try to live in positivity. Try not to dwell on what isn't there for you, what you can't do. Think about what you can do, what you can accomplish. And give back to your community in some way. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to cost money. It's these small day-to-day things that are going to keep us going. So, and you don't have to give to a large group of people either. It just find a way to give back. We all have those talents. So share those. That is also going to be what sustains us. And we are so lucky to be part of a community that is made up of these amazing creatives with amazing ideas. The brain power just right here in this group right now is incredible. So we can and we will find ways through this. And we may emerge on the other side with the arts world looking different, but I just want to throw out to you something I tell my voice students all the time. Different is not necessarily bad. It's just not what you're used to. Different could turn out to be a whole lot better. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about all of this. Now, I have a great announcement I want to make. I'm very, very excited about this. So I've been reading online about all the students, and I've been emailed because I run my own program about the summer programs that have been canceled and due to the virus. So I am announcing an online do-it-yourself summer program. It's not my first time at this particular rodeo, but things are a little bit different this time. So this is a 100% online guided training program. And it is targeted for young and emerging artists whose summer program were canceled due to COVID-19. And the priority is going to go to those who did not receive refunds. Now, I will say, if you're not a young artist right now, we have some really exciting content lined up. And so I'm looking into how I can allow people to audit it without getting the whole thing, because I don't have the resources to provide 600 people with this. It's going to happen May 3rd through June 6th. It is a pay what you can. And the only reason I'm charging it all is because I want to be able to pay my my people who are participating in this, my faculty, because they're all in the same boat as everybody else. However, if pay what you can means you can't pay anything, that is okay. And you can find out more and you can apply on my website. It showed up really lightly here, but oops. www.cindysadler.com/DIY. And I will also put that in the chat, and I will put it online in different places. So I just want to leave you with this thought before I shut up and let other people talk, and that is, you may be isolated, but you are not alone. We're a community. We're here for each other. And this weird situation we find ourselves in is not going to change that. So reach out, get the help you need, and we're gonna in the words of my friend Twyla Robinson, we're gonna love each other through this. All right, I'm stopping the share now. Okay, so and I see there's some chats in there. All right, so I'm gonna open it up to you guys and see if anybody wants to say anything about anything. And what I'll ask you to do, because I don't know all of you, and I'm sure we don't all know each other, but would you please introduce yourself and say a little bit about what world you come from and maybe how things are going in your part of the world, and then say what you want to say. Who'd like to go first? Nobody wants to talk? I'm getting a drink. Does anybody want to talk about what their mission might be?
I'll go. I'm Richard Slade. I'm a voice teacher, New Rochelle, New York. And the whole mission thing, I do a lot of non-vocal work with a men's organization called the Mankind Project. And one of the things each of us has to do is develop a mission statement. And as a result of which, I create a world of delight by sharing my enthusiasms. I have the shortest mission statement of anyone I know. It's taken me 10 years to whittle it down to there. And the upside of it is, it really is what I do as a voice teacher, because what I want to do is smile with delight when I see a student doing something wonderful, but also a lot of what I do is introduce weird, unusual repertoire to people who would not otherwise have found it, particularly since I have a deep, deep love for trashy Victorian ballads and all kinds of what used to be middle-brow classics, from, say, Donizetti parlor songs up to really the 1920s. And the funny thing about my mission is it also contains within it the seeds of knowing its limit, because not everybody's going to be delighted. And as we say in my men's group, with that, I'm in.
Richard, say your mission statement for us one more time.
I create a world of delight by sharing my enthusiasms.
Very cool, and I love your mission, and I also love your love for trashy Victorian repertoire. So now we all know where to go.
I take the lost chords seriously.
I mean, there's something to be said for that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Who else? Anybody else want to share? Mary Beth, can I put you on the spot? Mary Beth recently did my Project U workshop, and mission statements is something that we really sort of knock out there. So I'd love to hear, Mary Beth, just if you stuck with the original mission statement or if you've changed it.
I'm going to confess something. I'm currently going through my documents to see what it was I wrote at that time. I don't remember. It's probably stuff I'm doing.
Well, what are you
I don't
doing?
actually have a mission statement. I do have that materials and audition spreadsheet and sort of the plan we created from the class. Well, what I recall talking about with you last was trying to form an aria package. That has been sort of a fun exploration. I recently did like a re-audit of what I'm doing well and what I can do well quickly and what is actually going to be a more long-term project. I was also focusing on getting more performance experience, I was about to do Flora with a local opera company, and of course that got canceled. My chorus contract with WNO also got canceled. I'm figuring out now how to do, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track, aren't I? But anyway, right now my mission statement is to get started with digital voice lessons and piano lessons. And it's actually kind of fun because I get to explore a new area. But now I have more time to sort of focus on the back end of learning arias, maybe even studying a role and getting ready to do recordings in a couple of months. And I have a lot more time and energy to focus on that right now.
Did you happen to attend the Nats chat that that Alan led?
I watched much of it earlier today, the replay.
Yeah, there's just so much, you guys. If anybody who's teaching from home, if you didn't watch this, go back and watch it because it's got so many resources in it for, and even if teaching is not what you're doing, even if you're exploring the idea of doing some kind of online performance, it talks you through a lot of the technical stuff. It's really great. So I highly recommend it. Who else? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say they recommended a podcast called Vocal Fry, F-R-I, like Friday, that recently did an episode about online voice lessons too that I am finding really helpful.
Okay. Is that by any chance, Alan, is that the Tom Burke thing, or is Tom Burke, because I saw Tom Burke also went into great detail.
No, yeah, Tom's was good, but that's Nick Perna. I'll put the link on there for everybody because it's, and I'll also put the link to the Nats talk in the chat so you all have it.
Thank you. And yes, Louisiana, that is, the Nats chat talk is online. They put all the Nats chat stuff is archived, so you can go back and look at it. So, who else? Anybody else want to share something about? Yeah, Maggie.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
I guess right now my mission statement is probably to find a mission. I haven't had a lot of things canceled yet. It's just kind of this, this anxiety of what's going to be canceled and feeling distressed about seeing so many of my colleagues losing work. My church is trying to keep us to doing live stream work. Before all of this happened, I guess I was realizing I needed to get a little bit more firm with goals because I've just been going gig to gig. When I'm hired for something, I do it, and thinking sometimes you need to have a goal of like where you want to be. And I've been working towards being in Europe. In fact, I got invited to do a summer program late in the summer, and I won a fellowship from my alma mater to go do it. Now I'm not sure if it's going to take place. So I guess and I have 2 elderly parents who are divorced who lived in 2 different states. So I'm concerned about their health. And I guess a lot of it is trying to cut through the anxiety because I'm worried about so many people and my family and my boyfriend.
Hi.
He's a flutist. We met on a gig and he's finding this very useful to listen to as well.
And the situation really challenging. May I speak a little bit?
Of course.
Okay, so my name is Michael Latterman. I'm a flutist and a composer. Should I get closer? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, and I have lost all of my gigs through April already. I'm waiting to see what happens. I was supposed to play in 2 concerts at the National Flute Association convention. That's supposed to take place in Dallas in early August. And my main job for the last 2.5 years was playing as a soloist, actually, mostly jazz standards. I'm a classically trained flutist, but I play a lot of jazz now at a nursing home. And of course, that got canceled 2 Sundays ago, which was logical. It should have gotten canceled. But so I don't know where my income is coming from. I'm looking into doing some ghost writing. I'll see if that works a little bit, but after this month, you know, and I'm still getting back pay from the nursing home. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, I already have a new piece that I worked out improvising it on the flute, a jazz tune that I'll compose. I'll probably do more composition. I was working on the song cycle for Maggie and me, based on poems by William Carlos Williams, and I'll go back to
work
that
on that
and
now.
you know do some work on that. But I really
do you have
don't
a
know.
potential mission statement, or you develop? Do you have to develop?
Yeah, I don't
that?
know what my mission is. I have to figure this out. I mean, I'm going to continue practicing some, but it's very weird to have this extended period of time coming to me of nothing in particular to practice for, other than my sanity, because I'm a musician. Musicians need to practice, or we get really crazy.
So your suggestion to write out tasks and give ourselves a routine is a really good idea.
Yeah, the routine other than posting to websites that don't make me any money.
Right, right. Well, I don't know about the instrumentalist community, but the singer community has really come together, and the voice teacher community has come together with some really great ideas about how to keep things going. You know, in terms of reaching out to students and coming up with ideas for online stuff. I've seen a lot of people offering lessons and coachings and things like that online, and also people that are performing online. So I wonder if you could propose to your nursing home people that, you know, they still need that entertainment. What if you could set up something for them and perform from your living room?
Yeah, that's
living room concerts for
something
them.
for them to look forward to.
Yeah.
So they're entertained as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll ask my boss about it. Yeah, thanks for that idea.
Of course, and that's one of the things we're here for too, is to brainstorm these things and to talk about, you know, special projects if anybody has them, and you know, what you might be able to do from where you are. So I would certainly look into that, and I would even look into expanding it with other places that might be closed.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm for me, just being able to listen to what you're saying and hearing what others are brainstorming in the situation is really great. So thank you so much for having this.
Sure. Anybody else want to talk about a challenge they're facing, or just a problem they need help solving, or just how they're feeling? Anything, really. Don't be shy.
That's Cindy.
Hi, Robin.
So I was super excited. I got a contract to cover Norma with BLO, and it was my first AGMA contract, and it was really, you know, like, it's a tough role. I worked on it for 6 months. I turned down some other gigs in order to, it's my first time working with BLO, so I turned down some other gigs in order to dedicate the time that I needed for this. Anyway, it got canceled. We went through our final dress rehearsal, got canceled. I'm in the pile of people who have not been paid anything. So that's really poopy, but I'm feeling very, you know, disheartened and feeling like my career just like was, you know, doing a steady climb. As you know, it's still successful to me even if it's going slowly, you know, and it just feels like to me, it just like dives off a cliff, and it feels to me right now like it's all over, you know. But I don't know who said about the 5 arias. Forever, I have been trying to say like, oh, I need to, oh, hello. I have been trying to redo my aria package. So, and I hadn't even thought of that during this time, to learn new arias. It's always been like, learn a new role, learn this for a concert, learn this, you know, like it's never been like, what do I want to learn? So that's a good idea. So thank you.
Well, yeah, and there's a million coaches out there who are in the same boat as the rest of us. So, you know, if to get hold of one of them and have them, the way you have to do it is have them make a recording, but you could talk through it with them first.
Right.
And say, okay, you know, this is how I want it to be. And then let them make the recording for you. And then you can have the session with them where they can give you feedback as you sing along to their playing. You know, I think that's one of the things we're going to be doing this summer. If I have to take my summer program online, then, you know, I'm really concerned that I don't want to have to turn out my faculty that has set aside 5 weeks of their summer to do this. And I think that, you know, so I'm exploring ways to do that right now. And that's what I'm thinking right now from what I've heard of the technology and everything would work best. And,
Right.
you know, this is another thing that we have to think about. You know, in the singing profession, we all tend to be, well, for lack of a better word, rather snobby about how we learn, how we perform, how things are done. It's hard to let go. We're entrenched. Entrenched is the word. Now is the time we have to pull ourselves out of the mud and embrace new ideas and new technology. And I actually think that's going to be a really good thing for our profession. So the other thing I want to say to you, Robin, is I understand it's heartbreaking to lose that role that you worked so hard for. But two things. Number one, you can put it on your resume still. And I think you should. Somebody mentioned this in one of the groups online, and everybody was like, hell yes, we're putting it on the resume. I learned the role. You learned that role. You just didn't get to perform it. So absolutely put it on your resume as a credit. And the other thing is everybody else is in the same boat you are. So it's not just you whose career slammed up against a wall. Everybody's has. And it remains to be seen what's going to happen when this is all over. You know, I'm sure we're all hoping that we'll just be able to pick up and carry on like nothing happened. I doubt that's the case. But there will be a way to move forward. So, you know, I think that we just all have to be using our creativity to think ahead about how that might be, what that might look like, and how we can prepare for it and you know, position ourselves to be ready for it when the time comes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anybody else want to share something? Hi, Dan. Dan just joined us. How are you? So we're just talking about our mission statements for our time in the quarantine, or any issues or problems or feelings that we have that we want to share with people. I really don't have anything else prepared. It's just for us to have a conversation. So don't be shy.
I do have one comment.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So hi y'all. My name is Luisana. I'm here in Houston, Texas, quarantined, as we all are. And I just want to say that I'm a little, well, more than a little disappointed, because I'm fresh out of grad school, graduated in May. I had a terrible first audition season professionally. And then I wanted to get the attention of this really good voice teacher in town. And she finally answered me at, I think it was the end of February. And now everything is canceled. And my plan was, well, I'm going to take these lessons, I'm going to polish and be more prepared, or better prepared for the next audition season. Now, I honestly don't know what to do. I'm a little bit skeptical about online voice lessons. Also, my apartment's not great with acoustics. Walls are paper thin. I'm really self-conscious about bothering the neighbors. So I don't know. I'm willing to be convinced because I still need the work. So
Dan, Alan, Dave, one of you expert teachers want to address that for Luisana?
Well, I would just say it's tough for everybody. And I think it's just tough in different ways. And I think we're all going to have to find ways to make music in different ways. And Cindy's already kind of said that. And it may be that we can find ways to even monetize some of our performances online. I know I've seen a few people who have done that in the last week. Although, of course, there's been predominantly a lot of people doing live, free, you know, just Facebook Live events. And, you know, it's very unsettling for everybody. Not, you know, and we're all kind of want to internalize that, but I really appreciate Cindy kind of creating this forum for us to just all discuss some of the disappointments, as a teacher, it's disappointing for my students. I just had a recital hearing with a student tenor who's a senior, and he sang fabulously. And I was like, these people are going to love this recital in a couple of weeks, and so now it's like, for me too, it's like, I hate it for him and I hate it for me that, the culmination of all of that work is hopefully going to be seen in some way, shape, or form, but just not, the form we hoped it would, with the friends and the crowds, all there cheering him on at the end. So it's going to be a really tricky time, and I like to hope that that some of the one-on-one kinds of instruction that we offer and that we also participate in as students will find a way to continue, even face to face in not too distant future, and certainly in some parts of the country I think it will. But it's still, I think, hitting a lot of people. I mean, I just got the email that we're going to be online for the rest of the semester 30 minutes before I got on this. So it's like, I've been sitting here, we were on like 2-week break right now, an extra spring break. So we were all just sitting here waiting, what's going to happen, the unknown in 2 weeks. And so, now the shoe drops. So now it's like, okay, how am I going to retool all the things I do in a new way and still serve my students? So all I can, I've been kind of preaching this week to a lot of people, is just take a deep breath, center yourself, just take a moment to relax and acknowledge the disappointments that are in front of us all. And then let's all pick ourselves up and let's do some of the things Cindy said, make a plan. How are we what's tomorrow going to bring for me now that I know that I've got to teach online for the rest of the semester, or I'm not going to have that big gig, but I've still got that role learned. Now, what am I going to do to make sure that role stays up here, and grows and matures, no matter what, kind of we're faced with, finding ways to kind of reorient ourselves and make that plan, and involve our friends in that, chat with our, get a support group together of friends who are facing the same thing. What are we going to do about this? And there's so much creativity in all of us. It's unreal. I mean, when we think about just the human voice and the amount of energy that has been poured into that amazing creation, and the time and the care that we've spent caring for it and growing it and refining it. So there's lots of creativity involved in that. And now we got to just kind of channel part of that creativity into another place to figure out how we can continue to share that with everybody.
I would want to, Cindy, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
And then Richard, you had something you wanted to say.
Oh, sorry. If Richard wants to go, then he is my guest.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm thinking about what Louisiana had to say, and I'm curious what her style is. Is she like a pop singer or a classical singer?
It's classical singing.
Classical. Okay, great. So I would like to offer you 3 things. One of them is philosophical, and 2 of them I think are practical. The first, the philosophical thing, is honestly, it's the Dumbo feather. Believe in yourself, which sounds terrible to say out loud, but I want you to plug into the strong history that we all share about artists overcoming adversity. I mean, we've been doing this for millennia, right? So this is just the latest in a long line of adverse things to happen, and we'll get through it like we got through everything else. And, overcoming adversity is such a strong, it's your birthright as an artist. So really yeah, have faith in yourself that you're putting one foot in front of the other. The two practical solutions that I want to talk about, number one, about your reservations about online lessons. There's been a lot of traffic in the professional forums over the last couple of days about teachers migrating necessarily onto online instruction. And look, it's a mixed bag. There are some important items. For instance, the teacher needs to have a really good audio, like needs to receive well, and the student needs to have a pretty good mic. And in classical singing in particular, for treble voices up above the staff, we lose information when that signal gets compressed. So I will acknowledge that there can be some trouble, but it's not a deal breaker because, I saw, and forgive me if I'm repeating, I got here late, but I saw a couple of posts earlier talking about the things that we still can monitor for as classical teachers of singing online. There is value there. And a good teacher is not going to blow smoke. They're gonna do their best to help you improve. That's our job. So there's that. And then the last practical thing that I want to share with you is that there are products out there that can mitigate you making noise in your apartment. I am not affiliated with these people in any way, but I want to share with you that I know about this thing called, what is it, Beatbox, or it's this thing you put on your face and you can sing.
Is it the belt box?
Belt box, that's right.
I actually have it.
Great, good for you.
It's
and
pretty
there's
good.
Also, yeah, and there's another product that you might like as a classical singer. It's probably a little more expensive, but it's voice studio on the go, or voice box on the go, something like that. It's basically you can stand up and sing into it, and it has the same kind of sound mitigating thing. I ran a quick Google search to find it for you, and I just said I just entered sound blocking device for singers, and it came up, and it says mobile soundproofing for musicians and singers. This is vocalbooth2go.com. So look, I'm not advocating any product in particular. I'm just saying that there are ways to get around paper thin walls, right? And your colleagues, I mean, you're in Texas, but your colleagues in New York know all about paper thin walls, and they still practice at home effectively. So the things that you're worried about, I want to acknowledge that stuff and say, yeah, I totally get it, but there's always a creative workaround. There's always a way to keep your fires stoked. So hang in there.
Thank you, Dan. Richard, did you want to say something?
Nah, everything's covered. I'm good.
Anybody else want to say something? Yes, Robin.
I just wanted to respond. Also, as a singer, you are not always practicing in an ideal situation. You're not always in a practice room at, Opera America, where, it feels normal for you to be singing there. So I want to tell Louisiana to just also get comfortable just practicing wherever you are, because you will not always be in the place where you want to be when you have to practice. But you're gonna, you still have to practice, So like I once went to a competition. It was the Gerda Listner competition. They say they have a warm-up room, and it was literally a room in the basement where every singer went at the same time to warm up. So there were like 4 of us singing at the exact same time in the exact same room. So it was like very strange, but from that point on, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, if I need to sing and I need to practice, I don't care where I am, it's gonna happen. I don't care if I'm in a homestay and someone's watching the TV, like it's just gonna happen. So just don't be afraid of the sounds you make in the environment you're in. Okay, thank you, bye.
Thanks, Robin. That was great. That was great, everybody. Luzanna, I just want to add to all the great things that have been said that, yeah, it's not what you were trained for in grad school. You were trained that you were going to be in a studio with a pianist and a teacher, and that's the way voice lessons went. But in the real world, it's really different than school. And almost none of that happens on a regular basis. I mean, you're lucky if you get in to have a regular voice lesson. Since I have been a professional, I have never lived in the same city with my voice teacher. So, and you go to New York for auditions, and they don't provide you a place to warm up. You either rent a room, which gets expensive, or you do it on the subway, or you sing into a pillow in your hotel room, or something like that. So, yeah, I totally get not wanting to make the noise. I don't like to either, but I do it. And it's just me and my husband in my house. I don't even have to fight with the dogs anymore, you know. But you just have to. That's part of you growing up as an artist, is learning how to do those uncomfortable things. And as for your teacher, that you fought so hard to get her attention, she probably has lots of time on her hands now. I would get in touch with her and ask her if she's going to teach online. And if she's not, I guarantee you there was somebody else who will. And I know some people in Houston. So if you want to talk to me about it and maybe tell me who it is, you know, I might be able to help you out with that. Okay. So I think that all your concerns are really understandable, but please, please know that there's a way around them. Okay. Mary Beth wanted to say something. Mary Beth, what was that?
Oh, I know in our class, by the way, I'm Mary Beth, everybody. I live in DC. I don't think I introduced myself earlier. We talked about in your class setting up a singer collaborative, kind of like you have. And I had actually set that up, but I don't know, we'll see. It's for May, so things can change. In a
do it
bar
online.
in Hyattsville nearby. That's what I was gonna say, is we could do this in a Zoom meeting. We could just pay the pianist to record our songs ahead of time, and then yeah, perform for each other in Zoom.
I would totally do that. And I just want to say, while I was sitting here looking at all your beautiful faces, I had a brilliant idea about another project. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I have to think through it a little bit, but I just had a really fun, cool idea for something that could be done. So, so yeah, watch this space. But it's along those lines of getting over that the performing problem, since the technology doesn't handle it without people being in the same room, unless you have very, very expensive and specific. There actually is technology that will handle it, but it's extremely expensive. You have to have a lot of equipment. Nobody has it except very certain people. So, you know, it's not accessible to most of us, but we're going to figure out a way around it. People already are. So.
I wanted to say
Lisa.
hello. Hi. I apologize if I was unmuting my mic for a minute. But yeah, I'm Lisa Vanderploeg. I've never met you before, Cindy, but I've read your articles, watched you, you know, from afar for a long time. Hello, Mezzo. And so I'm just thrilled that you're doing this, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Really
what do you do, Lisa?
Well,
besides be a mezzo.
I moved from California to Indiana about a year and a half ago. I was teaching at San Jose State. And so now I've taken some time to just refine my singing. And, you know, having this time right now, actually, I think it's a gift. I was thinking about my mission statement. I'm like, what's my mission statement? Yeah, but what I remember of it is to be a conduit of God's love and power. And I think that in this time, what they need more than, what we all need more than anything is the music. I mean, it really reminds me of, why am I doing it? Instead of trying to be perfect, trying to learn to sing perfect and get everything right, it's like this, we do this to heal. We do this too. So, you know, I just think that being here, we can get together and we can really share what this is, because we're not going to survive without music. I mean, they can shut down the operas, they can shut down the performances, but we can't live without that.
Very true. Du holde Kunst, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's one thing that they do. How many of you have ever been to the Classical Singer Convention? Has anybody ever been? The last time I was there, which was when it was in San Antonio, they had this great meeting where they usually get together and they read a list of all the colleagues that have passed away during the year and then sing Va Pensiero. But the year I was there, they also sang On die Musik. And nobody had sheet music or anything. Everybody just knows that song. So there's like 300 operatic soloists standing in a room singing On die Musik, which was amazing. Richard, yeah.
May I share one of my favorite stories, and this is me with my weird stuff. Lotte Lehmann, who was a great opera singer in the 20s and 30s and had a recital career after she fled here from Europe. At her final recital at Town Hall in 1950, she sang On die Musik as an encore, and she was so overcome with emotion that she burst into tears halfway through, and the audience finished it for her.
Goosebumps.
Oh, for an audience could do that. Yeah, just inspirational moment.
That is amazing. Well, listen, guys. It's a little. Let's see. It's a little past 7, and if does anybody else have something that they would like to share before we wrap it up? Yeah, Maggie.
I just wanted to say that one thing this is just having the session is helping me emotionally, because even before this crisis, I, and I'm sure many of my colleagues, we feel so alone in this industry. Even though we're all going through many of the same things, we're often made to feel like each of us is just a dispensable or interchangeable mote at the whim of our employers. And seeing that there are so many colleagues out there, I wonder if, you know, as horrible as this crisis is, the good thing coming out of it, to have so many artists come together as allies, saying we're not alone and that we have power and joy and support together. And I hope that as we come out of this, I think that unity will hold, and it will bring maybe untold good things that we can't imagine now at this point. So thank you so much for showing that to me, because it gives me more of a feeling of hope.
And I also want to thank you. This has been good for me too. So thank you for being there and for letting me participate.
I'm so glad. Yeah, everybody's welcome to participate. Thank you, Maggie. That's wonderful. And I do think you're right. I think these things are already happening. I'm seeing it in the community. I'm so proud. You know, Alan's gonna start blushing, because I've just been so impressed with the Nats leadership and how they jumped on everything. And just, you know, reassured the membership and came up with all these resources. And individual singers have been coming up with resources. Zach Finkelstein is doing this amazing investigative work about all the companies that aren't paying their artists. And that's going to have consequences in the future. It really is. And, you know, and other people, I see so many people just jumping in. I wonder, I'm curious whether other disciplines are doing the same thing. I just don't know. But certainly the classical singing community, or I should say the singing community, is jumping all over it and pulling together in a really heartwarming way. So that leads me to the last question I have for you guys, and is, do we want to keep doing these? And we can. You know, it won't be on Monday nights because I normally have class. This is my spring break, but I will pick another night. And since nobody has church right now, we'll maybe Wednesday night's a good night. I don't know, but I will post. So look on my timeline. I usually post in all the different forums, and you can respond at any one of those, or you can just, if you get on my mailing list, then I will be sending out emails about it, and I'll make a list just for people who want to be in the coffee Clatch, and feel free to invite other people. Don't feel like you have to come every time. Maybe from time to time somebody else would like to lead it, but we can definitely do this as something to just, you know, hold ourselves accountable and check in and talk about whatever we want to talk about. I can't promise you're going to have a PowerPoint every time, but we'll see. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. Hang in there. We've got this. We really do. So go forth and have a great week, and I'll see you online.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, all.